As business owners, entrepreneurs, family men, it's difficult for us to find the time to put together projects like these. Even though it's something we really want to do, unfortunately, taking care of the things we have to take care of comes first. However, because of viewer support for people like you, we're able to continue doing this. Please consider joining our Patreon and supporting the Burn and Return podcast. You're listening to Burn and Return, a weekly 1-hour podcast covering news from the agricultural and turfgrass industries.
With the DJ scratch, you know what that means. It's time for another episode of Burn and Return. The real deal. We are certainly going to be setting things on fire tonight. We will do our best at the end of it to bring it all back and at least try to put somewhat of a quasi smile on your face. Can't make any guarantees, though.
I think I think the smiles are being tariffed right now. I'm not sure that we can get those for anything less than what you could have bought them for on Friday. So, unfortunately, unless you've got
That's
some yen
right.
to trade or something, I don't know what the conversion rate is right now where we're at, but yeah, it's real deal out there. And
You know,
it's the
let me tell you how predictable this is real quick. I just want to make this point.
go ahead.
This is how predictable shit is. Okay. Trump started trade war 1.0. Biden was so impressed with the tariffs that he decided he was going to go after China with more tariffs. And Trump read that as like, oh, it was so effective the first time that Biden copied me. So I'm going to double down on it. And by double down, I mean expand it across anywhere I could possibly put it. It just makes you want to bang your head against the wall. There's nothing that screams free markets, limited government, like, taxing shit. And I just want to point that out there for all my Republican friends in arms, that if you are all for reducing taxes, fiscal responsibility, tariffs are the antithesis of that. We need to get that out there. So I want to remind you that free and open markets are not tariff friendly at all. So if I hear someone say that they're a free market extremist and is like, fuck yeah, we're taking down Canada, you're an idiot. There's no other way to put it. You're a fucking idiot.
I'll tell you what. It's a core tenet of the show is to continually niche down and alienate all of our audiences. Every show, usually in the first 10 minutes. I mean, it's a good growth tool that we've used, and quite honestly, guys, our growth generally is not there because we run through so many people, because I think people want us to be predictable in our views, and they want to be this predictable and have a safe space to listen to us rail on about governments and agriculture and lawn care and everything like that. And I think all three of us are aligned in the political world, just because I think we all just want to do what makes sense sometimes, and not so much what makes you feel good. And yeah, tariffs probably feel good, but I don't know that they're
No,
going to
they
give us a
don't.
lot of. I don't think they're going to
No,
give us
they
a lot of.
don't.
Well, I'm just saying. I think the idea that punishing somebody who may make you perceive as doing something bad to you or whatever, that might feel good, right? Retribution, eye for an eye, all that kind of stuff. But here's the bottom line, and we'll get into it more, but it is only going to sow more doubt, more uncertainty, not only with the businesses that we buy from B2B, but also from customers, clients, people like that when we're going down here. So listen, I'm not here to make a political statement. I'm just here to say, hey,
I will.
as a small business owner, I'm just going to say it from a small business owner, right? all politics are local. I mean, I trust me, we could go all the way up and down the sphere. But for me and the shit that I worry about, it's gonna be interesting. So buckle the fuck up, boys, right? Hey, as long as
Oh,
listen,
yeah.
all I need to know is this: as long as they don't, as long as they don't affect Magnum condoms, I know that Telly will be okay, and I know that Ray will be okay with Sheila, and that's all I really care about at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I know we're not even jumping into the headlines yet, but one of the things that want to point out here, right, is that like just to paint, and I'm gonna make sure everyone understands that the level of idiocy here is not one party dependent at all. This is it is fucking systemic. Like you don't. I'm the older I get, the more I'm convinced is that you cook your brain with either brain worms or I don't know, radiation or something, and you dream up grandiosity that most bipolar people dream of and are still unable to get to, and just vomit this shit out of your mouth. We'll cover some of that, a little later on. But for example, in the midst of the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, we block LNG, liquid natural gas exports. Why the fuck would we do that? In the midst of sanctioning Russia, top to bottom, left to right, we open buying Russian fertilizer. It's like, the fuck are we even doing? How does that even make sense? All right. And it's like, all right, next administration, is coming in. It's like, all right, we've got all this going on. What's the next best thing we can do? It's like, oh, okay, we're gonna tackle fentanyl from Canada. I want to see the data. Someone show me the data. The percentage of fentanyl that makes its way into the United States vis-a-vis Canada. Someone show that to me. I don't care what anybody says. This is 100% a currency play. They this current administration wants Canada to adopt the US dollar as their primary currency. And the idea there is strengthening its position against BRICS, which has is in talks of replacing the US dollar as a trade currency. So it's same thing with Mexico. All right, you for the external, for the people that are like, fucking Mexico's a fucking problem. What do you do? We're gonna turn the cartels into a terrorist organization. We're sending the National Guard and we're gonna defeat fentanyl. No, you're fucking not. No, you're not. We didn't beat prohibition in the fucking US with alcohol. I live in Appalachia, home of what? Moonshine, baby. That's what defeated prohibition. This isn't going to stop. All right, oh man, we busted another 800 tons of fentanyl at the border. It's been ongoing. We have been seizing doses of fentanyl that is enough to kill every man, woman, and child in the United States on a monthly basis for how long now? And it ain't slowing down shit. So whether China's landing fentanyl precursors in Vancouver, they're fucking landing it off the coast of Mexico too. That you're not stopping anything. Putting a tariff on Chinese steel or aluminum or copper or fertilizer inputs are not slowing the distribution of analogs, nitazene analogs, or fentanyl analogs. It's just not happening. And so it's silly. It's so silly that it's all an outward facade. None of it will have any meaningful impact except it's another fucking tax we have to pay. I'm tired of giving my money to the fucking government, top to bottom, left and right. They don't spend money worth of shit except to make sure it flies out as fast as possible. Yeah, you're like, well, we got Doge that's going to do it. Yeah, we created another fucking government agency to show that we're overspending. Who didn't know that? We're 30 fucking trillion dollars in debt. We had to have an agency to point that out to us? No, we did not. So how fucking stupid do you think I am? It's such a game, you know? It is just it's such a fucking game. And boy, everybody gets just real heated on it, you know, like this is it right here. This is what we knew was going to happen. We're making America great again. And since we're going to talk, we're going to jump into this week's headlines because we're going to make America healthy again. Let's talk about that too.
Oh dear.
Nothing to fear here. This is just the news.
This is just the news. We'll go ahead and start with this one before we get real spicy because boy, I got a lot of government tirades today. Ooh, FMC to launch first new herbicide mode of action in nearly 40 years. Hilux Active offers new herbicide resistance management tool for rice growers. Now, I'm going to make it clear that we do have some pretty robust chemistries that have come out of rice. So I'm pretty interested to see how this goes. So here we have Hilux, which is the active ingredient tetflupyrolimet, 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 which has been classified as a Group 28 herbicide by the Herbicide Resistance Action Committee and the Weed Science Society of America. Ray, what are some alternatives to what are some other Group 28s? Are you aware of any?
Group 28. That's a relatively new category, actually.
Yeah,
Group
I
28
don't
is
know
yeah,
anything off
group
the top of my head
group
that's also a Group
yeah,
28.
Group 28 is really new, and here's what I'm looking at, projecting into the future, of course, is whatever's used on rice often has application in warm season turf,
Bingo.
you know?
Yep. It works by inhibiting the DHODH enzyme in pyrimidine biosynthesis pathway, thus stopping germination and tissue growth. While it does offer some post activity, it will primarily be positioned as a pre emergent residual herbicide. In rice, in particular, barnyard grass has evolved resistance to 5 different modes of actions. Dodalex has really great control of barnyard grass, large crabgrass, signal grass, springletop species, and suppression of broadleaf signal grass. Kinali Complete Herbicide will be a co-pack offering which combines Dohilix with Command 3-ME microencapsulated herbicide, which is clomazone. Combining these two actives as a co-pack offers full spectrum control, lengthens the time of residual activity, increases stewardship of the new active ingredient to withstand resistance. Barnyard grass is number one in rice, and so we'll think about this, right? Eventually, in all likelihood, at some point, this will receive a turf label. So think about it. You know, barnyard grass, for example, I've definitely seen some prodiamine resistant barnyard grass. This could broaden your spectrum of control. Also, looking into it, we're seeing activity also on broadleaf weeds and sedges as well. So, as either a co-pack with something like prodiamine, might be taking something that has lost a lot of efficacy and being able to extend some of that power that we used to get out of prodiamine that it seems to wane over time. So, very cool. Not just a new herbicide, we have a new mode of action, right? So when it comes to resistance management, now we have a new mode of action. This is cool. It has been a long damn time, and boy oh boy, here we go. Keep an eye out for that. I would say realistically, it's going to be a few years before it makes it over to turfgrass. Hopefully, by then too, we'll have a pretty substantial amount of data surrounding its efficacy and usage applicability in turfgrass, and yeah, maybe give us something to work around with here. Let's check in real quick on the ag sector and their take on his appearance before the Senate Finance Committee. It says RFK, perhaps the most contentious cabinet level nomination for the second Trump administration, had a combative, intense testimony Wednesday before the Senate Finance Committee in his bid to become the next Secretary of Health and Human Services. They people were yelling at him, and I just want to make this point right here. Okay. Yeah, I heard all the yelling and screaming and all this shit that went on, and fucking Pocahontas was all inner feelings and everything else. And fuck all you people. I just want to get that out of there. Fuck all you people. But in the name of RFK Jr., besides all the jokes of brainworms and everything else, if you didn't know, in his divorce proceedings with his ex-wife, he documented something like 31 different affairs he had, and he's such a narcissist that he didn't just classify them as an affair, and he didn't just grade the sexual performance of the women that he had the affair with. He actually called them muggings, and would describe being mugged by these women on the train, and that's why he was forced into having sex with them, because he was mugged by these women, which I thought was fascinating. Because also, when the diary came out in Discovery during the divorce, and his soon-to-be ex-wife read him, she went home and she fucking hung herself. So, how about that for just a beacon of sensibility and honor in our great nation here. It's been known, not only is he against vaccines, he's super against modern agriculture. We'll say modern agriculture, agriculture that's been in place since like the 1900s and has kept us of dying from starvation, particularly concerning pesticide use, GMOs, and labeling. He's repeatedly advocated against large-scale producers. And then he gets into the FDA and the CDC and all this fun stuff. I have a personal commitment, a long history of working with farmers, Kennedy said, to counter some of his criticism along the way. I want to make sure that I understand the very narrow margins that the American farmers and ranchers are dealing with, and I don't want, under my watch, for a single farmer to have to leave the economic or for regulatory bureaucratic reasons if I serve. From the onset, Ron Wyden proved to be one of Kennedy's biggest antagonists. He's made it his life's work to sow doubt and discourage parents from getting life savings values. Has been lucrative for him. It's a slippery blah, 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 blah. I don't want to talk about the vaccine thing. I want to talk about farming. While most of the focus is on health specifically, the whole of his agriculture and impact cannot be ignored. Kennedy pushed back when Senator Michael Bennet from Colorado highlighted a previous statement to Kennedy's in which the nominee claimed that pesticides cause kids to become transgender. And then for those of you that don't know, this goes back to a study that came out of Stanford University that they did the infamous, the atrazine is making the frogs gay. Alex Jones article, and again, that's been repeated. And one thing that it could not be repeated was the frogs becoming gay, as a matter of fact. And now we have where it kind of blurs lines, and it becomes simple to ask questions like, is atrazine causing transgenderism, which is absolutely fucking just it's almost hilarious. It's such a strange leap to come to, because I don't know about y'all, but one animal that is incredibly similar in genetic composition, even at a species level, to a frog is a human being. That the degree of separation there, we have to share how much DNA with the fucking amphibian? Okay. Yeah, not much. Not much at all. And so to insinuate something of that is not just disingenuous, it's absolutely asinine. Then it goes on to talk about like mass spraying of glyphosate on wheat as the root cause of celiac disease and gluten allergies in recent years. And then again, this guy has literally built an entire career out of suing the shit out of ag, right? I don't think there's anyone in this world that would feel good about glyphosate being pulled off the market than RFK. I mean, it's just the reality of the issue. So, you know, I want to make it clear there is if you want to like get really knee deep into the weeds on this, you can head over to something like, I don't know, the Genetic Literacy Project. And I don't care where you fall on the political spectrum. I'll say this, that if you read the Genetic Literacy Project, that is definitely on the right side of the spectrum for sure. And so it's great. And basically everything you're going to read on the Genetic Literacy Project is going to fucking mock RFK because the guy's an idiot. It's just there's no way around it. He's an idiot. He's not an asset to agriculture, and so if you enjoy things like I don't know, being able to eat fucking beef, being able to eat chicken, and eat lamb, and all the other delicious things we get to eat, I'm not convinced that he would not make that more difficult. So anyway, boys, I'm obviously I'm a little bit frustrated here, because this guy's just it's a clown.
It's of all the things, right, that are gonna ultimately have an effect on what we do. I don't know, Matt. Do you think this is the most impactful of having this guy and his entourage, if you will, out there on the front lines?
Now, I think you actually bring up a great point here, and this is what I don't know the answer to is
Hmm.
in the event he does make it in as HHS, will he really be able to do anything? I mean, like, look at our HHS history and how much policy has really come from HHS. I tried, I dug around, I couldn't find anything meaningful that came from that position. It's noise, it's chatter, it's distraction, it's not action.
The only thing I can think, and I haven't read up too deeply on this to understand the inner workings and the bureaucracy, right? The process that it would take to make this happen. But I would think that um, if they were to start taking things like PFAS more seriously, right? Okay, to use a corollary, right? So in the state of Maine, they have tried various means and methods to, outlaw certain pesticides and things like that. Well, state legislature got a little keen on that issue and couldn't do it the direct way. So what they do, they said, well, your pesticide containers and all the other containers and stuff comes in, but pesticide containers have to be PFAS free. So I don't know. Maybe there'll be an end run, but there's such a wide swath of political support, in the ag community and, in our industry or whatever that, I don't know if that pushback would be enough, right? But I'm just saying in terms of, if, the FDA was to come out and say, "Hey, yeah, we know, that," or Health and Human Services came out and said, "Hey, we know that, glyphosate is now a known carcinogen and, you can't have it, or even if you do have it, it's a known carcinogen." So just like what happened, with it here several years or what was it, 2 years ago that, you had to pull it off the shelves of Home Depot and stuff like that, so I don't know. I could see things like that that maybe hamper us a little bit. It's probably gonna affect ag more than it does us per se, but,
I agree.
the only thing I get worried about is that, we're always the underbelly, the low-hanging fruit, uh, lawns are bad, all that kinda stuff, right? So I don't know that that drum beat could start and get loud enough and that fire could burn hot enough that soon, that quick, but I don't like where we're at. The farmers always have the fallback of, hey, we're raising the livestock that feeds this country, or we're raising the crops that not only do we export, but we feed here everybody here at home and do so much else right within industry. I mean, end of the day, uh, I don't know. I think that start taking tools out of our hands, it'll be not a
Look,
good thing,
Ryan,
and very slippery slope, dude. It's a very slippery slope because where do you stop? Oh, hey, I mean, does it turn into a situation where you can say, "Hey, how badly do you want us to not say that your shit's bad or that your stuff isn't gonna be part of the future," right? In terms of the paradigm and tools that you have available to your products, things like that.
I just want to say this part out loud too, so it sticks in people's brains. Remember, it was the leftists that came out and said lawns are a threat to our climate. They're a threat to our lives. They are a threat. They're racist. Lawns are colonialism. We are all these crazy things, right? And th- let's not forget that RFK is from that camp. That has been his career. And I don't think
Time's up.
he's
It's over.
changed his mind on that at all.
Nope.
And so, is he gonna magically be like, you know what? You're damn right. You have property rights that should be extended to you. And I'm just saying, like, if you think because Trump has appointed him, then all of a sudden magically he's on your team. This motherfucker ain't on your team at all. At
Nope.
all.
Nope. I mean, guess what team he's on, Matt?
He's been a career leftist wackadoodle. Literally.
Yup. Yeah, he's been the extreme crunchy granola, activist. I mean, extreme. I mean, and by the way, Matt, I've seen his flavor of person from a long time ago. Okay? He's nothing new. I mean, RFK, for lack of a better description, is exactly what the heck is wrong with my state. He embodies that mentality. Okay? That's why we don't have agriculture
this-
here.
That you just said something though that makes me think like, is this like the nexus of the political universe that Alex Jones and the far left both agree that the atrazine makes the frogs gay?
Yes.
Are we
Yes.
literally in the middle of the seventh circle of
Yes.
hell
You see,
right
you
now?
see, it's gone.
Horseshoe theory
It's gone.
in full effect.
It's gone full circle, guys. It's gone full damn circle. All right. Yeah, atrazine makes frogs gay, and any and all vaccines cause autism. Don't forget that one.
Which
Because
is fucking insane.
yeah, that is nuts. Because you see, remember what I said when his name popped up and when he started cozying up to Trump. I said, watch out, guys. Pesticides banned, and everybody gets prescribed a goddamn organic keto diet. That's RFK. I mean, that's his angle. And Chuck, say aloha to your McDonald's fries because there ain't gonna be no potatoes either. Because
Look, this is gonna be a game changer right here, Ray. Think about it. America
Mhm.
will be healthy again if we cut down on the number of McDonald's fries to model Canada's. Wasn't it just a month ago, 2 months ago, that RFK was championing Canada's ability to restrict the number of ingredients that went into Fruit Loops or whatever? And now we're fucking
Yes.
tariffing the shit out of them for producing healthier Fruit Loops or whatever. We are living in clown world. We are
No,
living in clown world.
It's beyond clown world because you see, Canadian food was always heavily, limited because, just for funsies, I look at the export from Canada versions of various, junk foods and whatever, because that's sold on Amazon, by the way, Matt, right? And it is damned amazing. It is damned
That costs a lot
amazing, but
more.
and it costs a lot more, but then my whole point
The Canadian loonie's worth about as much as a fucking peso at this point.
Yeah, but my whole point of this is that at the same time, do you know what it's like to have absolutely preservative-free, uh, vegetable oil-free, and sugar-free foods? Because that is the reality in Europe, for example. Can you imagine your food stuff literally not being shelf stable in any way, shape, or form? I mean, people in Europe, they have to go food shopping just about every bloody day. And do you know why they have to do that?
Is it on
Because
Bucky's?
no, nothing keeps. And they ain't got Bucky's either. Yeah, that's right. But nothing keeps. I mean, can you imagine something that is so
This idea that if we just cut down on the ingredients, all of a sudden Americans are going to be able to show demonstrate the ability of self-control. That, oh no, I am not going to drink 2 liters of fucking Coke today. All right, you drink 2 liters of Coke made with real sugar cane. Is it gonna make that much of a difference for you? I'm gonna go out on a limb and tell you right now, your glycemic index is not gonna improve between fucking high fructose corn syrup at 600 grams a day and real cane sugar at 400 grams a day. It ain't gonna see much of a difference, except, man, I had to use fucking 4 units of insulin or only had to use 3 units of insulin. And if you want to call that a fucking win, all right, go ahead. Last thing I said, but we'll have to move on to the burns. But and Ray, I know you especially. How many times have you and I talked about this? Is that again, the tariffs have predominantly been the left's thing in order to bolster American unions. Buy American, use American unions. Fuck yeah, and that was the way to do it. Free markets are globalism, and it's an attack on the American labor unions.
But you know what?
Now all of a sudden, it's the answer.
It is the answer, and actually,
it's horseshoe theory.
I'm starting to consider the idea that for Trump, tariffs are his hammer, and every single political issue in the United States is a nail to him. Okay? I mean, he is thinking, all I got to do is just slap a tariff on this and all the problems magically go away. And I see that logic because he thinks, okay, if I tariff the heck out of Canada and Mexico, for example, they're going to magically halt whatever drugs are coming into the United States from their countries. And, going back to what you had to ask and what my question was, okay, Matt, how much fentanyl and other illicit substances come from Canada? How much? I mean, I'm trying to scratch my head, rack my brains. I'm trying to logically think through this. And
I'm going to give everybody a quick hint here. The majority of drugs in Canada, guess where it comes from? The United States. It's fucking It's
that?
It's the other way.
reality.
It's the
Boy,
other
we
way
have
around.
one hell of an appetite here.
What?
Yeah, it's
It's an old Robert. It's an old Robert Williams quote that Canada is just a shitty 2-bedroom apartment above a kick-ass bar.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And then you've got the other half of the country that speaks that godforsaken language, fucking French. I can't stand fucking French. All right, let's check out this week's Burns.
Tell you what, even if it doesn't
Uh,
have to get inaugurated indoors, Sheila, she'll do it. She'll do it outdoors. She don't care how hot or cold. I mean, it's just
boys, I've got a story here. For all of my quasi anarchist libertarian friends, get ready because you might try and buy an F-16 somewhere on the private market after this. The United States Department of Justice. So this is from Rob Johnson here. He is an attorney at the Institute for Justice, and effectively they defend people who are being attacked of their very fucking rights by the government. And unfortunately, this is like the shit that keeps me awake at night. I can't control myself. And so, I've been a long time reader of Rob Johnson, and we have a state here that the United States Department of Justice has taken a legal position against a lawn care company. And their position is that money isn't property in terms of constitutional purposes. And it gives the DOJ 3 rationales for that argument. Number 1, the government creates money, so you can't own it. The government can tax your money, so you don't really own it. And the Constitution allows the government to spend money for general welfare. It goes on to talk here, and this is for Chuck Sane, the owner of CS Lawn and Landscape, and a small landscaping business just outside of Annapolis. He was fined over $50,000 by the U.S. Department of Labor for alleged violations that are a legal term of art bullshit. And it goes on. The government is arguing the fine doesn't implicate Chuck's property interests at all, meaning his property interest being the money that he makes, because the money that he makes doesn't actually belong to Chuck. It belongs to the government. They just give him notes that they promise they will allow him to spend. And apparently in this case, that also means, because they have granted him the ability to spend it, that also means they have the ability to take it back and use it for general welfare, whatever the fuck that means. Anyway, okay. I have no idea why I have turned this whole thing into an anti-government fucking show today. But
You're
do what?
I said you're angry. It's okay.
I am. I read this and it just drives me crazy. I hope everyone out there, now there's a whole thing that went in here. Effectively, it is a very, very interesting, kind of little pop-up here that he violated. So as a complaint for declaration of injunctive relief, a demand for jury trial. A landscaping business in Maryland founded by sole owner Charles Sane spent the last 7 years defending itself against investigation and enforcement proceedings with the Department of Labor. He participated in the H-2B visa program for temporary workers without incident for close to 2 decades, but DOL's in-house prosecutors charged them with violating the company's regulations from 2013 to 2015, for example, allegedly violating a local zoning ordinance. After a 3-day hearing before the Department of Labor in-house judge and later an appeal to the DOL in-house appellate panel, CS Lawn was ordered to pay more than $43,000 for technical zoning offense and around $10,000 for similarly minor violations. His alleged zoning violation: renting an apartment with a full bathroom, kitchen, washer and dryer, and living space for $200 per month per person to temporary workers who chose to live there multiple years in a row, when the apartment was in a non-residential zone, but labor camps are permitted use, and if so, what proportional relief would be. DOL agreed the zoning violations do not harm the workers, but its in-house agency judges impose tens of thousands of dollars of liability anyway. Okay, so for those of you that do not know how H-2B works here, is you put out a job notice, right? So you hire that you're hiring X number of people. You monitor the people that apply, you hire the people that apply, and you have to show either that they do not, there's no employee retention that occurs, or um, that they are unqualified or unskilled in their ability to fulfill duties, or in some instances, like you may show that they have a meth addiction. I'll tell you now that, like in Maryland, they're not going to recognize marijuana. So you fail a drug test for marijuana, it's not going to show anything. But you do for meth, it's a whole nother different story. Okay. That being said, then you can apply for H-2B visas up to a certain number, and you pay effectively, like the first time, you're going to pay a monumental amount of money, something like $30,000 a person that get extended these visas. They're typically like 6-month temporary visas. They come, they work, and they go home. Here's the rules that go along with it: is that number one, you have to provide them a place to live, and it has to be like a decent place to live. You cannot put them in a fucking corner and treat them like dog shit. The second thing too is that they have to be paid a fair wage as an American counterpart. So the idea that you're going to hire them for $8 an hour, I think typically what you're going to see in something like landscaping is going to be between $18 and $24 an hour, depending on where you are in the nation. So you have to provide them room, board, and you have to pay them at a very fair wage that would be typical for anywhere in the country right now. Okay. So what they're saying is that the houses that he has built, because he's utilized this program for 20 years, all of a sudden don't meet the zoning requirements, even though they do, but they don't, because they're going to classify this as a residential living area, and forego the reality that it's for commercial use for housing H-2B visa holders. And so what do? They go ahead and they just fine him $50,000 fucking dollars. This is just a reminder: the government hates you. They fucking hate you. They don't care about you. I don't care what kind of business you run. Here we have a landscaping guy who's is this landscaping guy out there clearing fucking $1 million net a year, living his best life in the fucking Bahamas, while he's got a crew of Guatemalans out there doing the dirty work? Hell no. Hell no. He's paying damn good money for these people to be here, and they're fucking good to be here because they keep fucking coming back over the last 20 years and working with them. They probably got a lot of rapport built up together. That's why they keep showing up. And I can tell you that the H-2B visa program, I know several people that use it. If you treat them well, they are very loyal to you. They do a great fucking job, and they keep coming back. And that's exactly what you want to have happen, because the next season you roll into it, they know exactly the job that needs to be done. No ifs, ands, buts about it. And you've got a great staff of people ready to fucking go on day one. That's reality.
But you got to win a lottery, and you've got to base your whole business on where you fall in that lottery. And that's a huge risk.
Now, the government said, hey, you did everything right, but fuck you, buddy. Fuck you. Here, pay us $50,000 because you haven't paid enough. And every year, I guarantee you, this guy is shelling out a check to the government somewhere up to $50,000 just to participate in this program. So first year you're going to pay like $30,000 a person. Then after that is going to be like another 10,000 a person for the initial paperwork and everything of coming over here. You have to provide all their airfares and everything for when they show. You have to give them an allotment in order to be able to eat as they travel and all that fun stuff. And you're not just going to fucking slap them on a Greyhound and say, yeah, good luck getting here or whatever. It's like it is fucking regulated to holy hell, top to bottom. And so anyway, yeah, not good enough. And just another reminder: the government hates you, and they always will hate you, and they're not on your side. They're not working for you. None of the laws that are being proposed are done so with your best interest in mind. It's just they're just trying to figure out how they can extract more money and go spend it on whatever the fuck it is they want to spend it on, which is usually something that does not generate a fucking ROI. DeMay, how many people do you know that use the H-2B program and would be out of business without it?
I would say I personally know at least a dozen or more business owners that have H2B as a component of their business, and I would say that better than 80% of them probably would be uh, they would change. It would fundamentally change their business model, if not completely close them up.
I
And
agree.
we had lots of conversations with them over the years about their feelings, and I would say that the majority of them would line up on the conservative side of the spectrum, but they
Mhm.
also understand why it's important, right? In terms of having workers and things like that. And so to the reformists out there, we've talked a lot about this. I think mostly off the air, not so much on, but gosh darn, Matt, there are not a lot of people that are breaking down the door, and we are on the precipice of, the $30 an hour gringos that are entry level dudes that don't work out. I mean, that's just where it's sort of gonna head. Because here's the other thing too: is just from the enforcement. And listen, the people that should be here are criminals, and I don't care if you're supposed to be here or not. If you're a criminal, you should be locked up, or you shouldn't even be here. But here's the fact of the matter: is that people that are here and that are working in some of these jobs, specifically in our industry, are getting to the point now where it's like, hey, even if I do have a place here, or I don't, or I'm somewhere in between, or I definitely shouldn't, those people are starting to not show up to work. And yeah, I mean, for us in this business, February 2nd, when we're recording this, it's probably not that big of a deal. But as this ratchets up, I'll be interested to see, how it goes. And here's the other interesting thing too is that uh, if you look at the numbers and everything like that, they're not even up to where granted it's early where the previous administration was, and but it is a much more public spectacle, and I think that is probably what's inciting some of the fear in these communities, and where workers are just like, hey, maybe I'm going to bounce, maybe I'm going to get out of here. So I don't know. Like it's a fucking mess, is what it is, because you got good, honest Americans, like you said, that have paid the government a lot of money to do it the right way for a long time, and have had to go through the ebbs and flows of, hey, somebody I know was just selected. There's different times basically that you'll get your folks, and you're in the A group, the B group, the C group, the D group, so on and so forth. And the higher your letter is, the later you get your folks, right? So there's some people that may be waiting until like July or something like that, or maybe even later to pick up, you know, anywhere from, four up to, dozens of guys, right? And so it becomes a really big challenging act of, okay, how do I commit to work in February that I might not be able to do until July? And how long can I hold people off? How long am I going to get strung out of materials that I have to buy now, but I can't perform the work until later? I mean, it's a fucking mess, dude. And if there's anything in this, right, me, man, I'm the voice of reason. I got to end this on a positive note. It can be fixed, right? And it doesn't mean, yeah, you got to get rid of the people that don't belong here. Yeah, there's things that you can do to, maybe force other people back just out of fear or whatever reason, right? If the fear of, or just the willingness to have a conscience and do what's right, right, and go back home or whatever. But at the same time, this can all be fixed, right? All this other noise and bullshit about whatever else, right? Fucking uh, identity politics and shit like that. Fix immigration. Fucking fix it because it does have a place in our economy. It does have a place in small business owners' worlds, right? Their orbits and what they do. And there ain't no reason that we can't do it. It's just a bunch of people that are too scared and too shaken shit. And quite honestly, fucking around with other stuff just to get the noise, amplified up on other stuff that really, at the end of the day, does not fucking matter. That's it.
You know,
So
I can't let you leave it on too much of a positive note because of my foul mood right now. I'm just kidding. I want to say that one of the things that was encouraging is that you did hear
Robot Mike.
uh uh me, Robot Mike.
Yep. Yes. Sounds it to me. I can't remember. I got Robot Mike.
Is it
Sounds
better
fine
now?
to me.
Yep.
Just me
Sounds
then.
fine to me too.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Damn it.
We've got grit. See, the government is getting in between us here, DeMay. Is that Trump did, come out and talk about the positivity of H-1B and H-2B. And I think both of those are very positive programs. And the in that is I don't think anyone right now in our industry is overwhelmed with people applying to come work for them. If you are, let me know. I would love to have you on the show and you tell us exactly what that's like because we've talked to a shit ton of people in our day jobs, offline, online, and we do not hear that. And look at how many people think Gen Z is just beating down the door to jump into this industry. They're not. You get the anomalies. We've had them on the show. Jason the Turf Kid, anomaly. That's why he's a business owner. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, the standouts 100%. We have them on, and it's interesting to talk to them because they are the 1% of what's out there. These are real statistics. 1 out of 4 working age adults are not participating in the workforce by choice and are not looking to work in the state of New York. 1 in 4. 25%. In states like West Virginia, it's 55%. Are not only not participating in the workforce, don't want to. Do not have a job, are not looking for one. This takes out of account anyone with disabilities and everything of the sort. We were talking about able-bodied people that are just, they said, I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. Like, if you want to have a successful business, it's gonna have to come in from somewhere. I think H-1B and H-2B is a perfect thing to fill that gap. And we'll see, because right now the rhetoric is that ICE and I don't know how much of this is actually taking place or not. You see some articles where they're like, oh, they were spotted, and then other ones where they're like, nah, it didn't happen, and then you get like the videos of empty WalMarts and all that. And I don't know what's real and what's not with it. I'm sure there's a tinge of truth to a little bit of it. Is ICE going to start showing up at schools and kicking down doors and dragging 7-year-olds out of it? I sure as fuck hope not. I mean, that's crazy. Just like, look, that's crazy. And the same thing is that, but where it applies pressure are people that came here through legal means, right? And now they're freaked out, totally freaked out. I've been through the immigration thing. My wife is a fucking immigrant. My wife has a green card. The state of Tennessee just revoked her having a driver's license and now has to have a temporary driver's license. So next time she goes to renew her driver's license, she can only get a temporary one, even though she's lived here for 14 years. We've been married for going on 15 years now. All of a sudden, she has to have a temporary driver's license. Can't hold a regular one anymore. Why? I don't know. It's silly as shit. But you can't tell me, right? And then I'll give you an example of why that can get weird. Okay, She gets pulled over by the police. There are certain restrictions on temporary driver's license that fall under age categories. For example, when you're 17, you have a temporary driver's license. And the rule, according to your temporary driver's license, and it doesn't, the only difference is your age, right? Is that if you're 17 with the temporary driver's license, you can't be out after whatever it is, 11 o'clock at night. You can't have more than one other person in the car. Okay. Now is my wife going to be in a position where she's driving home with her kids, has a temporary driver's license, and some fucking cowboy hat wearing cop who's had a bad day pulls him over and is like, well, according to this, you got a temporary driver's license, you shouldn't have more than one person in the car, and it's midnight. Is that something she's going to have to do? I don't know. It's just totally a wild ass hypothetical. And chances are there's a 1 in 100 billion chance of that happening. It's probably not going to happen. But again, it just adds a layer of chaos and everything, right? And again, exactly like you said, DeMay, is that all of these can be rectified. And utilizing something like H2B is a great rectification tool to do that. But we're not. We'd still just rather scare the fuck out of everybody. Okay. The other one that I wanted to talk about here, and I said this on one of our previous shows. The EPA under Biden was man, they were getting ready and they were gonna go after PFAS, and the EPA was going to update the rules on discharge regulations, and everybody couldn't wait. You had wastewater treatment facilities that were salivating because they knew they were about to get big government money to tackle this. You know, there was going to be grant money rolling in for cleanups. And when it was coming down to the end of the road there, I said, Biden isn't going to do shit about this. I clipped it into a short and I posted it. It's on one of the catalogs there. I said, he's not going to do shit about it. And no one knows what the fuck Trump's going to do. And so we'll just have to wait it out. Well, now, as part of their suspension of new regulations, of course, you know, PFAS PFAS hasn't been addressed directly, but indirectly, it's just been kiboshed. So, again, exactly like I predicted, the government wasn't going to do shit about it. They're going to kick the can down the road as long as they can. Now, before everybody gets all hubbubbed, and I'm going to hear two things: Trump's trying to poison the world, and they're going to completely gloss over the fact that the Biden administration has been sitting on this for fucking years and never did anything about it. And so I'm gonna put both of those in the rearview mirror and tell you a little bit of actual positivity that I'm hearing on my side of this, is that all of a sudden there's an uptick in private companies that are interested in establishing private solutions. I think, and this is purely from my perspective, just my experience, this is N equals 1. This is not a scientific study. All I can speak on is what my experience is. I don't know if I'm right or not, but I think is that this has bought time for private companies to leverage this gap in ruling to start implementing some solutions, and hopefully get a grip on this, so that way when regulations do get passed, now we have a subset of data that of particular sequestration technologies that are very effective. And I know this is going to turn into the populist argument of the evil companies are out to get us and they just don't want to be sued to oblivion. Of course not. And I promise them being sued to oblivion isn't going to help you. It's not going to change the deficit. It's not going to help me. So it's not going to fucking. Point being is that it wasn't addressed before. Promised like it would. We're going to tackle it. We're going to be strong. We're going to clean the planet up. We're going to pass the Inflation Reduction Act, and it's going to fix the climate. And probably the most important aspect of it that actually affects day-to-day lives of people, they just, we'll leave that out. Boy, we got a real big fucking hard-on for glyphosate. And you know, we sure did sue the dick out of fucking Bayer. But PFAS, let Trump handle it. Pussy ass people, man.
That's
Just pussies.
that's the dad that, when you ask to sleep over somebody's house, ask your mom, you know, let her figure it out. That's how you do that right there.
T Dot, but by the way, T Dot said, my family came here in the 50s through agriculture and got their citizenship. Not that hard to be here legally. So here's where it hasn't changed a whole lot. T Dot is the number of the worker visas that are extended. Even if you are an employer, right? And so, I'm talking about temporary visas where you work here for a little bit and you go home. This is not permanent residentship. This isn't green cards for you to be able to stay here. That is all lottery based now. That's all lottery. Even if you pay through, your employer can petition for you, and still, it's a very small number of year that will be granted green cards. And that whole legal process, depending on the trade that you're in, we'll say it's like IT or something, you're going to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to sponsor one person. And you have to have it documented through and through and show that they have a unique contributing factor. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it is a very, very tight thing to hit. Now, if it's just a temporary visa, meaning you come here for a little bit and then you go home, H-1B being a little bit longer time of residency versus H-2B, which is, you go home, come back, go home, come back, go home, come back every year. Those are still strictly limited. I mean, the number of increase that has occurred from like 1980 to now is nowhere keeping up with what the demand is. Like, not even remotely close. Not even remotely close. And the overwhelming majority of it goes to ag. And so, if you're in landscaping, you kind of shit up a creek. And I know, people were up in arms that, you got H-1B workers working in gas stations. Yeah, probably. How many Americans are lining up to work at gas stations right now? How many Americans do you hear are like, the job market's so tight right now, I can't even get a job at a gas station while they've got a needle hanging out of their arm. It's like, maybe fix that first.
Can you use the extra large Slim Jim as a tourniquet?
Maybe they think that if RFK gets the seed oils out of French fries, they'll stop putting the needle in their arm. Maybe that's the play. I'm not thinking broad enough, DeMay.
Listen,
Could well
eat
be.
the
Could well be, Matt. I mean, because it seems that the magical fix is make everybody eat nothing but keto, organic, and all problems solved. Okay?
I think the thing is that's why you eat the taquitos off the roller at the gas station, right? Because they don't have the nitrates that the hot dogs do and all that kind of nitrates. Like, and let's be honest, right? Of all the dick-shaped foods, taquitos are probably number one or number two, and they're not going to get deported. So, you got that going for you.
Colorado just continues to be a beacon of really, really smart fucking idiots. Local governments across Colorado would be required by 2028 to enact or update ordinances limiting the amount and type of grass that can be planted around new or redeveloped residential properties under a bill before the state legislature this year. Speaking of PFAS, House Bill 1113 would leave it up to counties, municipalities, and local districts to determine how to limit turf grass and how to redefine development. The measure would also extend prohibition on the installation of non-functional turf to new and redeveloped condominium and apartment complexes. It would go into effect in 2028, building off a bill passed by a legislator last year prohibiting local governments from installing non-functional turf on medians and right-of-ways. Turf is considered non-functional under Colorado law if it's not used for civic, community, or recreational purposes. Filtration? Fuck that. Doesn't count, bitch. Grass used for playgrounds or sports fields. Erosion? Fuck you. Grass used for playgrounds and sports fields are considered functional, whereas grass that lines parking lots and sidewalks are not. Makes total sense. All that oil runoff from your parking lot? Fuck your grass. Not good enough. The measure is the legislature's latest effort to violate the rights of citizens over some fucking bullshit. Or, in their eyes, promote water conservation? Really? The greatest filter of water we have? And you're going to do this in the name of water conservation? Ah, my God. But the legislation is likely to face skepticism, if not opposition, from developers and local governments who are leery about mandates. And I don't know, the body of evidence that shows it's just absolute fucking bullshit. This that makes the bill emblematic of complicated push across the West to tackle drought and water scarcity. The more we look at all the little and big ways that we would be part of the solution, especially in more urban areas and densely populated areas, whatever. I'm another idiot. Leslie Smith is also an idiot and the other House main sponsor of the measure. Dylan Roberts is also the primary fucking idiot in the whole gig. Smith and McCormick emphasized that the measure would not affect grass installation across the board. All turf is not equal. Not all turf is the same. In statute, turf is defined as this continuous growing stuff that is non-hybridized for arid conditions. You're a fucking idiot. It's just a very specific water-sucking type that wasn't made to live in the West.
Wait
I
a minute,
hate
Matt.
people. I fucking hate people.
I hate people too, because tell me now, how well will Bermuda grass do in Colorado? Because I know how short
pretty-
the growing season is.
It does okay. It does okay, but
Does
I think the whole
okay.
point
I think
though,
there's
is that
ongoing trials on it.
Yeah, they're growing at a sod farm out there, one of the main sod farms in Colorado. Now, that all being said, that creates another host of issues you're talking about, right, Ray? I mean, it's not
Yes.
this is not a silver bullet issue that these guys are trying to make it.
No, it's and my question is, when you take away the filtering capacity of turf grass in urban areas, what happens to pollutant management in stormwaters? What happens to that?
Well,
Because
and I that's a
Wastewater will
good
fix it.
question. Well, as I was gonna say is I wonder I do wonder that. I mean, that's probably not something that's been studied at a wide scale, and I'd be nerded to it and happy to look
it
into it
hasn't
this
been
week, but
it hasn't been studied, but then I know for at least here in Hawaii, I told you folks how restricted installs of artificial turf are, right? It's restricted. So in other words, a homeowner needs to get permission from the city to install
Time's up. It's over.
artificial turf in a residential landscape. It's not like instead of having natural growing grass, I'll have synthetic turf. I know, not that easy. It's subject to a permit process, and the reason for that permit process is control of runoff pollutants and erosion. There's more to it than just, grass is a waste of water. There's more at play there. So I'm curious to know what the unintended consequences are downstream of arbitrarily getting rid of most of the turf grass being grown in Colorado. I'm curious to know.
No, I mean, go ahead, DeMay. I know what's going to
no,
happen.
no,
Go
no.
ahead.
Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead. You go ahead.
I was just
You
going to
first.
say, I'll tell you what's going to happen is all the shit's going to go to the wastewater treatment facilities. They're not going to be able to digest it, and they're just going to open the gates and let it fucking flow. It's what happens in every other fucking major city.
The worst part about all this, right? And I need to read the bill in its entirety to understand a little bit more about. They're saying that hey, we're only talking about cool season grasses, specifically Kentucky bluegrass and tall fescue. That may well be true, but here's the thing: they're asking for this to be enforced at the local level, right? To be developed and enforced at the local level. I'm just going to go on record and say, is everybody going to go out there and verify what kind of sod's being put down? And is everybody going to come up with a sensible protocol, right? And I'm sure there'll be a playbook, there'll be a template for everybody to follow and everything like that. But I don't know, guys. When you leave this in the hands of local politicians, gosh, it's going to be house to house combat out there in terms of what ends up happening. And I don't know. It'd be interesting to learn more about what developers think about this and what commercial real estate things like that because there is definitely a a curb appeal aspect, property value aspect, and not just the functional aspects that we're talking about here. So uh, I don't know. Like I said, putting anything in the hands of locals is always a dangerous game, but something like this that has a high propensity to get fucked up, number one, and number two, a low propensity to be actually enforced is what what a lot of good governmenting is right now.
Let's do Joe knows turf. Let's just keep this going
Oh,
into feel good world. I'm gonna grab a
oh
drink.
man, I had
Normally
a
I do this behind the scenes. I'm just
had
doing it all.
Joe.
Doing it live. Getting a drink. I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Joe.
I'm gonna give you a bunch of accurate turf facts today because
Joe.
knows turf.
Joe does know turf, and hey, Joe, if you're out there listening, good luck to your Eagles next Sunday night. We won't be recording in celebration of the Super Bowl, but I hope that things go well for you. And moreover, to the point, Happy New Year, Joe. We haven't had a chance to, really dive in and say. I was just wishing Joe a Happy New Year and to tell him to go Eagles, this weekend or next weekend or whatever it is. So listen, one of the many nuances of Joe is that Joe was heavily, heavily influenced, Ray, by a friend of the show, Mr. Allen Hain. Way back when
Yep.
Joe was a true disciple, a warrior in turf Christ for Allen Hain,
The
and
organic lawn warrior.
he was the organic lawn warrior back then. God, could you imagine the cataclysm that would have to happen to make Allen Hain go organic for like an entire year? To like go to the monastery and live that way, celibate without substances and all that. Gosh. Anyhow, so tonight we've been asked to take a look at the new product offerings from Yard Mastery and just give our take real quick. These are some of the new product offerings, gentlemen. And somebody asked, hey, are these legit? Are these good? Are these new and improved? What are they? And so we'll dive in here and just give some quick reactions on the latest and greatest.
Am I gaining anything? What are the differences? And so that's what we're going to go over today. The 4 biostimulant pack, how does it compare to the current offerings here in 2025, which is going to be Compaction Cure and Spoon Juice. So let's go into it. So what I'll do is I'll just pull up the labels on the screen. And so
Pause.
the way the programs are going to work.
So if I've read up correctly, they have I think eliminated RGS, aerate, and dethatch, right? And one more, I think it was just a fertilizer, right? That they got rid of in lieu of having a simpler, right? Reducing the number of SKUs that they have or products that they offer, and making it a little bit more approachable in terms of the products that they have. So these two here are Compaction Cure and Spoon Juice. Spoon Juice. Interesting name. All right, let's go ahead and listen.
Work is you're going to be recommended Compaction Cure. That's now. You're going to be recommended Compaction Cure biostimulant. I call it the super biostimulant. You're going to be recommended that
Pause.
here in the spring.
All right, so gentlemen, a label popped up here for Compaction Cure, and this is a 005. It is derived from potassium hydroxide. So Matt will talk about how they're reacting to that, what they're using it for, but a standard 8% humic acid. Yeah, this is okay. Matt, real quick, why don't you dive in here real quick and tell me about some
When you take a linerite shale, which is your humic containing material, which I'll give you a fun fact is that you can use like any kind of organic matter. You could do it with worm compost, you name it. But you add a very alkaline solution of water to it and give it some time to agitate the humic fraction of that organic matter. And there's some debate. I'll kind of leave this up there. Is that are you really dissolving the humic fraction into solution, or is the hydroxides reacting with the with the organic matter and creating a new molecule in effect, because it's very difficult to just like observe humic acid free forming in nature. They think it might actually be created via exposure to a hydroxyl or an alkaline material. So anyway, you do just a standard. You take your linerite shale, you add your KOH, and then you decant off the top your humic acid fraction. Now, fulvic is soluble across all pHs. So humic is only soluble in high pH. Fulvic is soluble across high pHs. If you wanted to just isolate the fulvic, one of the things that you could do is you do your humic extraction, and then you buffer the pH way down. You buffer it down to like 4, and you're going to get another huge amount of precipitate that falls, and then you decant off the top of that. Now you've got your fulvic fraction, right? And so you've isolated your fulvic acid because it is soluble across all pHs. Humic is only soluble in high pH. Now, chances are what they're doing here is that they're taking a linerite shale and your seaweed. You're doing an alkaline extraction, and that's where you're getting your humic and your fulvic, and then you're doing an alkaline extraction of your seaweed too. So you're creating a seaweed extract here. That'd be the 1.25% seaweed that you see in there. Now, if you're adding a co-block polymer to it, so to avoid getting just a full-on soap out of it, you start adding polyethylene glycol to that, and chances are you're going to get some soap precipitate that could potentially form. So you're buffering that KOH with something. Could be citric acid, it could be malic acid, could be acetic acid, could be ammonium sulfate. It's not. I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not. But you buffer it, fairly close back to neutral. Maybe you leave it a little acrid. Maybe take it to 8 or something like that, 8.5, where it's not just going to be so, potential for funky things to form in the container. And then you add your polymer to it. In this particular one, polyethylene glycol it's a very very run of the mill standard surfactant that you can use. I will say this is that lights out, hands above, just using like a sodium lauryl sulfate. That is without a doubt. But is this considered like what I would consider 2%, especially of this polymer? If this was like 60% of the polymer, I'd be like, pretty good little wetting agent, fun combo here. Good wetting agent and making you feel real good about it too. If you're into the humic and seaweed thing, right? Like if you're into that, you like that, cool. Then yeah, it makes total sense. And you want a good wetting agent, you're coming in plus 50% of this polymer, perfect. Sub 50%. If your rates are starting to kick up there, right? All right, now you're doing like a 6 ounce, 9 ounce per 1,000 square feet. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, you drop it to 33, something like that. Probably cut down on some of the foaming that occurs. Makes sense in a lawn care perspective. But 2%, guys, man, it's not. I want you to go look
Made
up
it on the
any
label.
wetting agent on the market right now and go find me one that has 2% polyethylene glycol on it. And just you're not going to find it. It's cute.
if
How
it
about that?
was-
This is cute. This is a very creative way to do something cute.
If it was spermicide and a lubricant, yeah, you'd be in pretty good shape. But unfortunately-
Dimethicone. Great one.
all right.
And again in
Play
the
the
fall.
video. Let's-
So a couple applications in the spring and then a couple in the fall of the Compaction Cure Super Biostimulant. The Compaction Cure, the first thing it does is it replaces the liquid aerate. It's 100% one-for-one replacement. There's potassium hydroxide in there. That's when I always say liquid aeration breaks bonds. That's what the potassium hydroxide does. It's an extreme base, and when it hits water, it causes a reaction. An ion comes off. That's the breaking of the bond. That creates space. And then, of course, that's what we want with a liquid aeration is we want space created so the other elements can then, get roots to get in there, get fulvic and humic to drop in there, right? Creating space, adding carbon to the soil. That's the whole thing. That's the whole biostimulants in a package. That's the whole idea. Well, it's the potassium hydroxide that breaks the bonds to create the space. It's another reason why we always say when you apply liquid aeration or compaction cure, you want to have water or soil moisture present. You want to have soil moisture there because it needs water in order to make that reaction. So that's the first thing is the liquid aeration is replaced completely.
Gentlemen, I went through and read this label, and in no way, shape, or form does it say anything about either encouraging or, more importantly, discouraging tank mixes. Could you tell me why tank mixing a product that has been reacted with potassium hydroxide could be a problem if you're tank mixing this with anything?
It's going to basically destroy any pesticide you add to it. And can I also just make the point right now that if you have 5% potassium in solution, and it's derived from potassium hydroxide, that means it is a 7.2% solution of KOH, so 1.28 molar. So for my chemistry friends out there, just th- that that is we're talking about a very, very caustic material with a pH of, somewhere around like 14.1.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be well north of 13 for sure. 90. I'm just doing the math real quick on the uh
I mean,
so
like,
you're
so
about man, okay,
you,
so go
for
ahead.
sure, this is buffered down, right? And like, because it would, this idea that potassium hydroxide is doing all this work in the soil, it's not existing. The potassium is no longer in the hydroxide form. It's been buffered out because I'll tell you right now that if you apply 1.28 molar of KOH to turf grass, you're going to fucking kill it. Hey, Ray, for shits and giggles, would you ever apply 1.28 molar of KOH to a lawn?
Uh-oh. Ray's mic's on.
Ray, Ray's
That's
mic.
your
Yeah,
answer.
I
Ray
think
Ray
he yeah, I think he dropped
Ray
just a minute ago.
Ray has yielded his time back. That's how strongly he feels about
Here he
this.
comes.
Now,
Here
so
he comes.
Time's up. It's
uh-oh.
over.
Oh, we're still going.
Ray, did you
Well,
catch any of that?
well, I caught the substantial part of it, and my goodness, Matt, talk about really going out on a limb.
Would you ever apply 1.28 molar KOH to a lawn and expect it to survive?
I wouldn't apply 1.28 molar KOH, but uh, here's my little question, Matt. What is the overall effect of applying a highly alkaline material to a lawn over and over again? What is the overall effect? And no, and I'm asking this knowing how many people have come to us on previous shows telling us that, hey, my soil's messed up. My pH is over 7. Can you imagine somebody with a pH over 7 applying additional KOH to their lawn?
Oh,
Nope. It was
I mean,
bad news.
and like
I'm trying
like
to
we
I'm
said,
trying to logically figure it, and rationalize it because
and I think what's going to get lost here is that like what Matt said to a certain extent is that the claim will be is that, well, the humic acid, well, the seaweed extract, well, the co-block poly, like, no, man, like it's not what's happening here that's going to move the needle on this. So it's not a great plan. What if I told you guys? No, so Alan just had recommended doing 2 apps in the fall or in 2 apps preceding that in the spring. If I told you that you had at the high rate $2.06 per thousand wrapped up in one of these apps, and I told you to repeat that 4 times, I th- I would tend to think that you could have a pretty solid wetting agent program running for 824,000 for the whole year. I mean, a pretty nice one. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, for sure.
So again, Alan's got options. Everybody's got options. Real quick, let's slide ahead to the spoon juice. I don't know where it's at, J Pink. We're just gonna have to use your cursor skills and finger the mouse for us. Just finger it a little bit. There you go. Look at him go, ladies and gentlemen.
You're gonna have to help me.
All right, I'm gonna have to help you. Let me see if I can find it myself. Spoon juice is about
There it is.
$9.55.
Oh wait, 955.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's good. So let's look at the label here real quick before we jump into this. So, for those of you that are audio only, this is spoon juice. It's concentrate 501. This is derived from urea, sulfate of potash, ferrous sulfate, and of that 5%, 2.5% of the urea is stabilized with N-butyltriamide. So it's
That's not
basically
possible, by the way. That is not like from no matter how you spin it, chemistry wise, you can't only stabilize half the nitrogen in a container. It's literally not possible. So
I was
add
trying to
a
figure that out.
stabilizer, right? And it doesn't just target half the nitrogen molecules, half the urea molecules in the jug. You can't do it that way. It is
It
just
stabilizes
absolutely impossible.
all. Yeah, it
Yeah.
stabilizes all of the.
You
Unless,
can add
of
a half
course,
rate, but that doesn't mean half the nitrogen is stabilized. It just means you may have
Yeah.
an ineffective rate of stabilizer in the container.
Now, what is the point of adding?
Okay, I know the answer to this. Florida requires 50% of the nitrogen you apply to be
Ooh.
Slow
slow
release.
release.
Little label
Of
foo here.
a little bit of label foo. However, why not be freaking honest and say 100% of that 5% in is stabilized urea nitrogen? Because why not just, because I'm pretty sure you formulate with UMax, for example, that would
Yeah.
qualify, wouldn't it? Right, Matt? That would qualify under Florida rules, right?
Yes, yeah, you could use I mean, he's using well, no, he's not using UMax because it's just N-butyl thiophosphoritrimide, but he could just if he's using just NBPT to stabilize it, I mean, literally 100% of it is stabilized. You may not in this idea again, you can't just stabilize 50% of it. It's like
Yeah, you
even
can't.
if you were spreading a bag of urea and only 50% of the urea is coated in this stabilizer, it's still affecting 100% of the urea. Now, it might be too little to have an effect because you've only stabilized 50% of the bag, but it's still affecting 100% of it. It's I don't get it. And he's literally selling himself short by doing that. And it's bullshit. It's just not possible.
There you go. Let's listen to what he has to say about this real quick.
Those of you that have used it, you know how awesome it is. Just ask anybody that's used spoon juice. Like, this is the ultimate just spray anything, anywhere. I mean, put this in your potted plants, put it on in your vegetable garden, little spoonfuls here and there, man. Just spoon this out everywhere. That's the idea of this one. And so it's great for summer on all grass types because it's not going to stress anything out. It's not going to push growth where it's not wanted. It does have foliar absorption. Even when you do it through the hose and sprayer, you'll still get a little bit, but it acts very quickly. It also has
I'm
some
not gonna argue
iron
with
in
that.
it, which
It's really low rate. Is really low rate. Is it going to hurt anything? No. But sure. Can you do that? 100%.
just a deeper, darker blue-green color we want. But let's go into it because this is a summer product. And like I told you, typically my recommendation in summer on the old program was going to be microgreen. So what's microgreen? Well, that's our micro pack. It's got potassium in it, yeah, but it's got magnesium, sulfur, copper, iron, manganese, and zinc. Now, not all those are micros. The micros are the copper, the iron, the manganese, and the zinc. Okay, so but I wanted to point out magnesium because magnesium it's a macro, but it is in that microgreen. There is no magnesium in spoon juice, but magnesium is in the stress blend granular fertilizer. Okay, so some of what's being replaced here is going to be found in my granular fertilizers because remember, my main program is not just biostimulants alone. Biostimulants are designed to support a fertilizer program. So I have the same thing. I have my fertilizer line. Our general program, the normal program that most of y'all are on, switches back and forth between stress blend and flagship. It just depends on your grass type, where you live, and how hot it is, right? Sometimes you'll get recommended stress blend. Sometimes you'll get recommended flagship. But stress blend has magnesium in it. So you're getting magnesium from your stress blend. So is there magnesium in spoon juice? No, there is no replacement there. It is in the microgreen at 0.5%. Okay, copper. Copper is a minor nutrient. I do not have a replacement for copper. So in this change out from the 4 biostimulants down to the 2, there's no copper. So if copper is your thing, if your lawn's perfect look hinges on copper, then you'll want to stay and keep with microgreen. You could still use spoon juice, but and I'm joking, of course, because no one's lawn hinges on copper. So we're not going to have copper. Manganese. All right, manganese and zinc. That's the other thing. All of my granular fertilizers have water-soluble manganese and zinc minor nutrients. In fact, you're not going to find manganese and zinc minor nutrients in any granular fertilizer on any shelf in America, I'm pretty sure. At least not something made for homeowners.
Want to bet?
Just won't find it. This is what makes my granular fertilizer special. One of the things. There's several things, but that's one of them. I got
that is a wild claim to say. He did qualify at the end. He did qualify that at the end by saying, that's marketed to homeowners or whatever. Yeah. I'm gonna check this out. But anyway, this this is something you don't really fucking need. I mean, I don't think I'm off base here at all. For a $1.37, 38, 1,000 per app. I mean, just get you some fucking spray grade AMS and go to town, boys. You don't need any of this other shit that's in here,
dude. Look. Is there anything earth shattering here? Are you really combining things like, again? Are you really applying something with a pH of 14.1 with your compaction cure there? Like, no, man. I mean, I've just for shits and giggles, I'm a big fan of Mitchell Products wetting agents.
Tricure, all that. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna open up here, and I know like they are a spinoff of one of some of the scientists that were with God, who's the big surfactant company? I'm drawing a blank.
Precision?
No, yeah, Aquatrols, right? Like the lead chemists, were the ones who started Mitchell. Again, you look at it, how much of the polymer, 100%. Versus 2%. Like, do you smell what I'm stepping in there? Like, is it really a wetting agent that you're applying? Really? I'm just saying.
Feels good.
Feels good.
Feels real good. Golly. Well, gentlemen, there you have it. The newest newest products in the ammunition dump there at Yard Mastery. None of which are organic. Sorry, Joe. And all of which you can apply as much as your wallet can afford. Just go for it. Try it out. Now with that, I was going to say, hopefully, all I can say is that after having watched this, I hope that a lot of this sells because there are a lot of ecstasy-filled boat trips on the Gulf of America that need to happen. So buy it at will. Good luck, and God bless. Here, let's talk about those returns. Let's end on a happy note here.
I will say the Gulf of America has been my number one favorite thing that's happened. I love that so much. That is the one thing that made me stood up and say, fuck yeah, the Gulf of America, baby. I don't know why. I loved it. This week's returns are full of. Oh, okay. So we've got a good one here. If anyone didn't see this video from Spencer Bosley, this is SB Mowing, as a massive YouTube channel, and he kind of found his niche. He was like the OG guy that, he went and he found an extremely overgrown lawn. He mowed it for free, didn't charge anybody. It blew up, and now like it literally affords him the opportunity to be able to do this, right? Like it pays for him to go and do it, and people watch it, and at first, like it kind of aggravated me, but the more I see things like this happen, I realize actually what a good job it is, and I take back anything that I ever said negative about it. If you haven't seen this video, it is this tiny old lady who is not doing well, who managed to get out of the side of her house, and it's obvious that the yard is a complete and total hazard for her. This lady can hardly get around. She's nothing but skin and bones. And so he goes out there, he mows it for her for free. And they started a GoFundMe, and they have managed to raise $850,000 for this lady.
What?
And so what they are going to do is they set her up with an attorney and a trust to protect the money, and they're going to improve her house to make it more livable for her, because it is legitimately a hazard. And so, man, good on this fucking kid for steering into this and doing something really, really good for this lady, who chances are was going to get injured or worse because of the condition of her yard. And so, man, that was a feel good one. I watched it twice. It got me in the feels fucking bad, and I hubbubbed through it. And man, I was really proud to see one of our own do something in such a big way. Coming out of Australia. I was going to say, J Pink is adding articles when they come out of Australia, because his feed is full of Australian news. And this is one of the stories, and I don't think there's a better example, like not just what Spencer did in his SB mowing video, but then you see stories like this, and it is absolutely just so indicative of how powerful and uniquely incredible our damn industry is. We got a father of four here, how he went from dropping out of high school, working out of working at a McDonald's, to now having a business that he's got $1 million business that generates $50,000 a month.
Dang.
It is not. There are so few industries that you can go all in on right now and build a business where you earn $50,000 a month. I love it. I think it's a testament to if you're willing to put in some hard work. You don't need luck in this situation. You just need hard work. You need to do what you're going to say. You need to keep coming back. I'm going to use some AA slogans on you. Keep coming back. It works if you work it, and you ride with it long enough, and things will happen if you do a good job. And so kudos to this guy who catches himself with living in an area, in a place that he can't afford, and he's got a wife and he's got 4 kids, and he's doing everything he can to make his mortgage payments of $1,000 a week, and goes all in on doing landscaping, and now he's clearing 50 grand a month, and he's employing 6 additional people on top of that that are getting to make money and support their own family. Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah. And then the government wants to come in and penalize you $50,000 over a fucking zoning violation. This is the returns. I should not have said that. I got to remain on the positive.
Yeah, let's keep
I
it positive.
fucking hate the government.
as he
I
doesn't-
fucking hate the government so much.
It's a good thing. Listen, it is a good thing, and I'm. I tell people all the time that if you don't have to be the smartest person in the world to succeed in this business, but you have to be hardworking, right? And I think that's the one thing that I appreciate about this business is that there's always ways. Like it doesn't matter how smart you are, you have to keep learning,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
we all were beginners at one point. Everybody that gets afraid to come on here and talk to Ray or Matt or me or whatever, like we're always have the same mindset. We go in and talk to those people. It's like, dude, we were right where you were at one point. And the only thing that is going to separate you from your success is your ability to work hard, your ability to fucking grind it out and to fucking persevere, even when the chips are down, everything's stacked against you. And people say, hey, guess what? You can't grow grass in Colorado anymore. Call back to the burns. But you've got to find a way, right? Dig down, dig deep, and work your fucking ass off. And I'll tell you what, if you look at any of the people that are in our community that are successful at this, right? All different backgrounds growing up, college educated, some of them not, some of them high school dropout. I mean, you strip away all the things, right? And try to find the one thread that connects us all is we are all fucking deadbeat grinders. And when I say deadbeat grinders, I mean like we would fucking sell everything else if it meant, hey, this is what I got to do to keep my business open. This is what I got to do to go make my next fucking dollar, right? Is give you the two that I have in my pocket right now because I'm going to go fucking earn that dollar. So, Matt, I'm going to talk about this for a second because it inspired me a little bit. Not inspired me, but it made me think of our business and everything like that. And it is a callback too, because we haven't got to talk about this about how Ohio State did beat the Vols on their way to the national championship. But
Yep.
there was a quote from one of the kids playing defense on there that said, "If you give us an inch, we will defend it." And I thought, God damn, if that is not the people that are in our industry, I don't care if you're in lawn care, golf, sports turf. If you give us an inch, we will defend it. And guys, that's it right there. So, hats off to this gentleman. Hats off to all of y'all that are getting ready to get your dick swinging again and get out there and start grinding if you haven't been already. We are proud of you. We're excited to be back. This is our 2025 season premiere or whatever. We dragged some people's names through the mud. We talked bad about the government. I think we've all made the determination that Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, whatever you want to call it. Hey, as long as the water's warm, right? And you don't get stranded on a catamaran with a bag full of pills, and the Coast Guard pulls up on you and wonders, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing out here? I've seen you on YouTube before." Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great show. Hey, you know what we haven't mentioned? We haven't plugged Patreon. You can check us out.
All right.
More interesting content. The pre-shows for this program are usually the spiciest of all the spicy that you'll get. And if you do want to dive into one of those ghost peppers or something like that of hot takes, check us out, www.patreon.com/burn and return. It is not even the price of an airport beer right now. If we hang out a little bit longer and we do this show in another 4 weeks, it may well be the price of the Canadian Stock Exchange combined, the Loonie, and possibly Bitcoin too. So check us out over there. Get it in while you can because those dollars, they're setting a hole in your pocket, burn on fire. Come get it. Come get you some.
Thank you, Chuck. We love y'all. We'll see y'all later. Bye.
All right.